Today at shopdap.com, we're going to be going over installing jack pads on a MK7 GTI. Okay, so jack pads on a MK7. For anyone who's not familiar, jacking a MK7 can be a little bit of a pain because oftentimes the places where you're actually going to jack from, once you jack from there, the place to put a jack stand for anybody who's working on a vehicle at home, it actually gets really difficult. So you block the place where you put the jack stand by actually jacking from that point. So we actually shot a video that showed you how to jack up a MK7, and you have to kind of shuffle around the car and jack from one side to jack it high enough to get it under. It's a pretty big pain. So this kit will actually assist you in actually making that an easier process so that you can jack the vehicle from one side, put the jack stand under, and then obviously move on to each individual side. It will make your life a lot easier when you're trying to do that. So this would be more for a DIY person. These parts are all OEM from an Audi model that uses a similar setup. And so without further ado, we're going to show you our installation of our OEM Jack Pad Kit. Okay, so here we are under the driver's side of the vehicle. We have this trim cover here. And if we take this torque screw out, that's actually the only hardware that holds this in place. The rest of it is going to be slide locks that hold everything in place. So there's a latch here and a latch here at the back, and then you take that and you slide the entire trim piece back, and it has all these hooks that actually hold it in place. So we're going to grab a hook tool so we can push back there and get our hook in here. And pop that out there, and the same goes for this one. Pop that out there. Now, because we're working on a lift, the lift arm pad is a little bit in the way here, so we got to clear that a little bit. And no big deal, it just gets a little bit to pass by there. But if you're working on the ground, obviously this is going to be much easier to work with because you won't have a jack on the pinch weld here. You can actually just put a jack stand, so it shouldn't touch onto that right there. Now we can see this hole right here, which is where this rubber grommet, there are two included in the kit, go. And we put a little bit of white lithium grease on it just to make it a little bit easier going in. And then you can kind of just turn it until you see it kind of sit and the barbs kind of get over the edge there. Okay, so now we have our trim piece. These are different side to side, but this is the one for the driver's side. The passenger side obviously only fits on that side. Same goes for the actual part that holds in place here. We're going to show you that in just a second. These grommets are the same left and right, so you don't need to worry about which side you're working on there. So because again we're on a lift here, got to get that kind of set in place. There are these nubs in the back that you slide up, and key is getting them all up into their home, and then you can kind of push forward and slide it in place. It should pass over these latches here, and then we can put our screw in once we get the other piece in. Now we have our final piece on the front that goes in place, which this actually sits inside this rubber grommet and pops in place. So we're going to do the same thing, a little bit of white lithium grease here just to get it up in there a little bit easier. And then we're just going to kind of set it up in place. It does have a orientation that's correct for the side, and you can pop it in place like that. And if you don't have a lubricant on there and you just want to kind of pop it in place in another way, you probably could push it in place and then get your floor jack and jack from the bottom of here, and it should push it up into place. Now we're going to put the torque screw in that we removed. Now we would repeat the same process for the passenger side. It looks obviously the same, just a mirror image. Now we're going to show you the back. Okay, so now we're ready to do the back. We have these two grommets here, and here is our jack pad piece. And so what we're going to do is remove these grommets. We just have a small pick here. Screwdriver would work as well. All you do is kind of pop them out. Same thing here. Same deal. Now all we're going to do is take this end, get it hooked up inside, and then push that up in place and make sure you have that latched in all the way to make sure that this is in place. You may want to give it a tug just to make sure it's not going to fall out on you. So now we got our jack points installed. Let's go ahead and get these in place, and we'll show you how we jack this up. Now you will need a low floor jack for this, but once you get it set in place, you start jacking, get it to your desired height, and as long as you have an angle of your floor jack in one way or the other, you should be able to access your pinch welds and get your jacks in underneath the vehicle without any major difficulty. And so there we go. We can let this down and go to the front. Now we jack underneath the front. You want to, again, swing it out so the jack's going to be out of the way from the pinch weld. But we should be able to get our jacks in under that same jack point. And now you just repeat that same process for the other side. Thank you so much for watching our how to install OEM MK7 jack pads on our GTI. Again, purchases for parts like this or any others help support videos just like this one. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like it.